Trin hauda, praf kurdahe, bona tarda i moltes gràcies per ser aquí amb nosaltres. És un autèntic plaer. It's a great pleasure to meet you all. I am Jaume Puig Pinós and I am part of the team that made this event possible from Taula del Tercer Sector, Catalonia's Third Sector platform, and also Taith, the agency, the Wales Agency for International Mobility and Cooperation. I will share with you two brief notes that's important logistical matters, dues mencions importants a nivell de logística. First one, we have interpretation available. Just to activate interpretation, go in the menu below and click on interpretation. If you are from Wales, click on the English section. Si sou catalanes, catalans, per tenir interpretació, cliqueu al botó de Spanish. Hem posat Spanish perquè no hi ha català disponible. So that you will be able to follow those participants that speak in Catalan or English. Second comment, please try to put your name and surname and organization as I did, trying to put the name, surname and organization in your name, Zoom name, so that it will be easier for us to know who you are and to facilitate the session. Si podeu posar-vos el vostre nom, cognom i l'organització que representeu, així podrem seguir una mica millor d'on veniu. Without further ado, let's start this session now with the intervention of two representatives from the government of Wales and the government of Catalonia. It is a real honor to have you with us here. First, we will start with Andrew Watpin, and then we will follow with Francesc Claret. They are representing the Welsh and Catalan government. And they will provide an institutional welcome to the event. Thanks for being here. Yeah, thanks.
Prenanda, good afternoon. Molt bona tarda a tothom. És un plaer estar aquí. La relació en Catalunya és molt important per a nosaltres. És un plaer i un honor estar aquí amb el delegat de la Generalitat, Francesc Claret. I'll switch to English now. It was a lovely chance to practice some Catalan after many years. Been back in Wales for 7 years and I still miss Catalonia very much. So it's very nice to be involved in this conversation and to hear Catalan spoken again. I miss it and I look forward to coming back to Barcelona and to Catalonia soon. I'm really pleased to be involved this afternoon. The important relationship that we have between Wales and Catalonia has been in place for many years, and it's based on so many different elements. And a very important part of that is our approach to skills and to youth and to development for the future. Here in Wales, for us, we have a Future Generations Act in place, which means that everything we do as a government is done and bears in mind very much the future and what this will look like for the generations to come. So an important part of all that we do is very much thinking about how we develop people, how we grow skills, how we build relationships, how we exchange experiences. And linking to that, we also have an international strategy in place for Wales, for the Welsh Government. And within that strategy, it is very much declaring Wales as a outward-looking and an open and welcoming country. A country that is looking to develop links, ties, exchange best practice around the globe, but very specifically within Europe. We are a European nation. We consider ourselves very much as part of the European way of doing things and wish to continue to grow those links. And an important part of that, an initiative that we've created, and Susanna will explain it in much more detail very shortly, is our Taith program. Taith, the Welsh word for journey, is an integral part of the way that we view the world and the way we project ourselves to the world. We've put it in place because we want to build those exchanges. We want Welsh people to go overseas and experience what that means and what that brings to our culture and to our development. And we want people from overseas to come to Wales, to live in Wales, to experience what we have to offer, to gain that benefit from the interchange of experience and, again, of culture. So Taith is very much in that spirit. Susanna will tell us more about it, and it will be great to hear from all of you how we can work on this together. It's very much an institution to institution arrangement. It's not with the government getting involved and telling people what to do. It's very much about how we facilitate and help people come together and create their own programs and exchanges. So it's fantastic to be here once again, as I said. It will be really interesting to hear the discussions. I'm very much looking forward to not only hearing your experiences and your views, but also understanding what are the next steps, how we may work together to make this a reality, and how I'll be hope to speak to Francesc shortly as well about how we use all of that, include all of that in growing the relationship between Wales and Catalonia. Moltes gràcies, and good luck for the conversation. I will remain and look forward to hearing it. And if I can answer any questions at any time during the session, please let me know. Moltes gràcies.
Thank you. And now, Francesc.
Bona tarda a tothom. Tenim un da Kivarihon o Catalunya. Mein blessed but he heddiw. I really have hope that my pronunciation makes sense. Just wanted to say hello and in Welsh. Also, your Catalan, Andrew, is way much more impressive than my Welsh. This is my first few sentences, so hopefully I'll have the time to improve a little bit now that I'm here in the island. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you to Taith. Thank you to Andrew and la Taula del Tercer Sector for inviting me to just address a few words in this opening. As Andrew was saying, the relationship between Catalonia and Wales, also obviously for us, is extremely important. It's something that we feel really very proud and that we look forward to actually strengthening. I just wanted to mention a few things very general. We know we live in very difficult times right now. Both Wales and Catalonia, as global actors, are no strangers to the dynamics that we face. Right? We know there's a change in context in the UK that perhaps has added some challenges to this mobility and exchange and learning programs. And we also have an economic crisis that adds pressure to the resources of public services and the public bodies to respond to some of the issues faced by people everywhere, also in Catalonia and in Wales, obviously. So we live in a context right now that it's full of challenges, but also, I believe, full of opportunities. And both Catalonia and Wales have something in common that makes them, I believe, a bit extraordinary, which is a thriving and vibrant social fabric. So very resourceful and committed people, associations, and other entities that are determined to provide innovative solutions to some of the challenges that we're facing right now. That both, I think we have demonstrated through history that Catalonia and Wales are proud nations that fight for rights, for inclusion, and for solidarity. So I really do celebrate the decision of the Welsh government to establish Taith and to provide it with the resources and the autonomy that it needs to function. And honestly, I believe this speaks very loud and very clear of the willingness of the Welsh government and the people in Wales to continue strengthening relationships with Europe and with the world. And please do count on us to continue doing that. Also, from my side, I want to ensure you that the Catalan government is very much committed to working with Wales, with the government, but also with the people and with the Taula del Tercer Sector and with the organizations and the causes that they represent. Because honestly, this is a partnership that sometimes challenges our own assumptions and our own way of working, and helps us have clarity about the needs and the priorities of people where they are placed. And really only working together, right? In civil society and governments in the private sector, we can deliver on the promise of prosperity, of inclusion, and of rights. It is not an easy task. As I said, this is something that we are facing worldwide, the crisis, and the innovation that Taith provides, the innovation that the Taula of the Tercer Sector provides, so the many organizations and people who are there provide. I think we can learn a great deal also from the government side on how to tackle some of these issues. Just to say that the delegation of the government in the UK and Ireland, which is based in London, remains at the service, at the disposal, to work on whatever we can facilitate. I will have the pleasure of visiting Wales soon for the first time. So Andrew, I do very much hope we'll have a chance to meet, and also to meet many of you and learn a lot more about mobility programs, about exchange programs, about the ideas, these innovation ideas, this new partnerships that can be created and take it back home, and also to enjoy the scenery and the landscape, which I've been told it is absolutely amazing. So very much looking forward to doing that. I just bought a big nice coat in case. So thank you so very much to everyone, and I do apologize. I do very much apologize. My colleague Sarah is online. I have a the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Catalonia meeting right now. So with my deep apologies, I just have to change meetings, but I'll reconnect if I have time to just listen to some of the issues in the table. And again, thank you so very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Director Watkin and Delegate Claret. Now we will run to the second part of this first part of the discussion. We will hear from the context of these two nations, the moments that are going through right now, and why we speak of territories in transition, with the voice, the meaningful voice of Susana Galvan, who is Catalan from origin, but also Welsh by heart and adoption, who will introduce us to these two territories and their moment of transition. Thank you, Susana.
Thank you very much. Croeso I bawb i'r digwyddiad rwydweithio yma Ren Cymru a Catalunya. Sorry, dwi ddim yn siarad Cymraeg yn da iawn. Eto, I don't speak Welsh very well yet, but I'm getting there. Bona tarda a tothom i benvinguts a aquesta jornada d'enxarxament i col·laboració entre Gal·les i Catalunya. És un gran plaer per mi estar avui en aquesta jornada organitzada per la Taula i pels meus companys de l'equip de Taith. I'll switch to English if you don't mind. So yeah, it's a great pleasure to be here, especially, well, I mean, you heard me speaking Catalan, being originally from Catalonia myself. Obviously, this event is really significant for me personally, as well as professionally. You know, I remember growing up in Esplugues, which is a small town near Barcelona, a long time ago. And back in the day when I was around 6 or 7, my mom had the foresight to force me to go and study English in a language school, in a tiny language school in my town. And I absolutely hated it to start with, because, you know, after school and I had to go to these language lessons. But, you know, that was my window of kind of to the world at a time where learning English like that was quite unusual in a way in Spain and in Catalonia. And it kind of opened up my mind, coming also from a pre-working class family, just to see that there was a world out there that looked really different to what I saw back home. And also, you know, I'm talking about the 70s and 80s in Spain, where it was quite monocultural in a way. You don't see the diversity. You didn't see the diversity that you see today. And when we talk about the context, I think this is really important in terms of how the environment in our nations has changed in the last few decades. So you know, having been very lucky to then benefit from going and study overseas through different opportunities. I studied at University of Barcelona. I did interpreting. I studied Chinese. And my first time on an airplane was to get to China on a scholarship from the Universitat Autònoma de Barcelona to go and study in Beijing. Can you imagine? I was 19. I'd never been on an airplane before. I never left Catalonia before. And there I was on a plane to Beijing to study Chinese, and then the rest is history. And just to be here today as the executive director of Taith and representing this program, which is so significant. I cannot overemphasize how significant this program is for Wales, for the people of Wales, and for all the sectors that are eligible for funding under Taith. And to be here representing the program on behalf of my team, on behalf of Wales, and of course on behalf of our funders, the Welsh government, is just really special. I remember when I was in Barcelona in September this year, and I had my very first meeting with colleagues from La Taula, an organization that I didn't know about. And we started the conversations about what Taith was, and I learned more about third sector organizations in Catalonia. And then I also had meetings with different colleagues from La Generalitat in different departments, and I just realized that this was a great opportunity to build those bridges and those connections between the sectors here in Wales and in Catalonia. I think Francesc and Andrew have already said quite a lot of things I wanted to say in terms of context, but I think I would just say that, you know, that there's already an existing connection and friendship between Wales and Catalonia that spans for years. And actually, if you look at some of the projects that have been funded through Taith in our first round of funding, some of those projects are between organizations in Wales and Catalonia already. I mean, my colleague Walter will be talking about Taith and the context of Taith a little bit more, but as you know, it's a really new program, and some of those connections, of course, are already there. But I think an event like today is a really great opportunity to rekindle, reconnect, and to grow that existing friendship and collaboration between, I think, two nations that have a lot of synergies and a lot of points of commonality and interest and kind of features that are really similar. I think, Andrew, you've mentioned the international strategy, and I think it's fair to say that both Wales and Catalonia have a great ambition to be outward-looking nations in their own rights, and to have that visibility of them as nations with unique identities, unique features, unique languages, and their own ambitions. I think the common features for both of us. I think, Francesc, you mentioned also the importance of identity and language and heritage. I think I've been saying to my team that while we started the program saying that it was kind of like the Welsh version of Erasmus, or is the successor to Erasmus, I think we're moving now to speak of Taith as a program with a Welsh identity in its own right, and not shy away from that identity, and just recognize that it is a program that has been created for Wales, by Wales, and with Wales, and that the program aims to be ambitious in how it connects with Europe and the rest of the world. And I think Catalonia has similar ambitions as well. I think, Francesc, you mentioned the socially conscious aspect, and I think both Wales and Catalonia are both nations that have a strong emphasis, and they're very strongly socially conscious countries, but also very globally responsible. You know, nations that recognize the challenges that we are facing domestically at a national level, but also at a global level, and trying to identify what is our role as nations to play to face some of those challenges. And you can only do that, as you said, through collaboration, through dialogue, through learning, through exchange. And I think that's very much one of the key ethos of the Taith program itself. And I think, Francesc, I'm really glad that you also mentioned diversity and inclusion. And, I think it's really important that, we've grown to become more and more diverse nations. I think we are nations that embrace that diversity. We're not afraid of diversity, but we embrace it. We think diversity is something positive. And we all know the challenges in the world today where the rhetoric around diversity is becoming very polarized, when there's more narratives around, you know, difference is dangerous, you know, and kind of the more nationalistic rhetorics are becoming really strong. But I think it's clear from the Wales international strategy, and it's clear from the policy discussions happening in Catalonia, that embracing diversity, building strength on diversity, building bridges around inclusion and accessibility, understanding where the gaps are and closing those gaps are really important. And I think, as Walter will mention in a minute, all those are really important values to Taith as well. We want to be a program that represents the wider values of Wales, the wider alignment with the international strategy for Wales, and that we play a part in making those connections for Wales through exchanges, through collaboration, through the area of learning, skills, and through all the sectors that benefit from Taith funding. So we really look forward to the discussions today. And yeah, I'll pass over to my colleague Walter. Moltes gràcies i tinc moltes ganes de tenir una discussió amb vosaltres. Gràcies.
Gracias, Susana. Moltes gracias. Buona tarde. Good afternoon to everyone. It's a real pleasure and an honor to be here in the first of many, hopefully, events like this where we can find opportunities for partnership. I am going to talk specifically about the Taith program, just to give you a very brief overview of what it looks like. I'm going to share my screen. And hopefully you can see my slides. Yes, you can. Great. So I'll try to be brief so we can go straight into the discussion rooms. But I'll also try to speak slowly for the sake of the interpreter, because I know it's sometimes a tiring job. So Taith is the International Learning Exchange Program for Wales. It was announced in 2021 by the Welsh government after the UK government decided not to participate in the current iteration of Erasmus+. So Taith is a direct consequence of that decision, because the Welsh government felt that not being part of Erasmus would leave a huge gap in terms of the opportunities that wouldn't be available for people across Wales and across different sectors to engage with partners overseas. So the Welsh government decided to commit £65 million for the Taith programme, which started in 2022 and will last until 2026, and hopefully for more years. The idea of Taith is to provide opportunities for staff, young people, students and learners, for them to go overseas to do work experiences, to study, to train and to volunteer all over the world. But as Andrew mentioned at the beginning, engagement with the European continent is a priority for all of us in Wales. An interesting aspect of the Taith programme is the reciprocity aspect. That is the idea that there is funding allocated specifically to invite partners from other countries to come to Wales to work with us and to share best practice. In terms of the sectors that are eligible to apply for funding from Taith, we have adult education, further education and vocational education and training, higher education, schools and youth. So in a way, it replicates the breadth of activities and sectors that we used to find under Erasmus+. With regards to the structure and the options, again, you will find some similarities with the Erasmus Plus program in terms of the key actions. We have a Pathway 1 and a Pathway 2. Pathway 1 is about the mobility of participants, travel experiences, physical, virtual, blended. It could be short term from 3 days up to 12 months, a whole year. And it could be for individuals, for groups, and as I said, can be for staff or for learners. We had a successful call earlier this year, and there's people already traveling the world, part of those successful applications under Pathway 1. A couple of weeks ago, I lose track of time now, but recently we closed the call for Pathway 2. Pathway 2 is international collaborative projects led by Welsh organizations and working with an international partner. The idea is that an issue is identified, a problem to solve, and working collaboratively with an international partner, we find a solution that we can share with the rest of the sector and the rest of Wales. In terms of what kinds of activities we fund under Taith, well, there's group mobilities for learners, for schools, for youth groups, also individual mobilities, and this could be academic opportunities, traineeships, volunteering, etc. And also virtual exchanges, which, as we all know, became very popular recently with the COVID pandemic. For staff, then, we have training opportunities, facilitation, teaching placements, and job shadowing. Also, training courses and professional development in general. And also, there's an opportunity to engage in system development projects. I think that's specifically for the schools sector. And also, there's an opportunity to do short preparatory visits when you need to meet a partner and engage in initial discussions, or visit a partner where when you're hoping to send some of your learners to a partner institution overseas. Now, who is eligible to apply for funding under Taith? Well, all Welsh organizations need to be regulated and registered and operating from Wales. An individual cannot apply directly for a grant from Taith. It has to be an organization. And perhaps the good news for you in Catalonia is that you cannot apply directly for Taith funding, but you need to partner with a Welsh organization or institution. So you don't need to do the paperwork. You don't need to do the filling in of the forms. Your Welsh partner will do that for you, but you can benefit from the funding and work together on a project or do a visit to Wales and welcome partners from Wales in Catalonia. The funding goes to travel, your plane ticket, your train ticket, subsistence, your meals, and your accommodation, and also there is organizational support, which allows the organizations to be able to run the program and the project. But Susanna referred to the focus on people who traditionally haven't had access to international mobilities, so there are additional inclusion costs for participants with either disabilities or additional learning needs, or people who come from a disadvantaged background as well. And there's also extra funding for green travel. So in the case that you can travel by train instead of airplane. And finally, 30% reciprocal costs. That means that a Welsh organization can, for instance, ask for £10,000 for the mobility project. And if they want to invite people from overseas, from Catalonia, let's say, they can ask for a 30% extra, so £3,300, following my random example. And that will go to you to pay perhaps for your ticket or for your hotel or for your meals when you come to Wales. Finally, so what next for us? In January next year, because there's not long to go. Next month, we will be opening Pathway 1 again. So new opportunities for Welsh institutions to ask for funding and perhaps engage with you in Catalonia and invite you over here. So if you have a project idea, or you need to find a partner, we can have a chat during the breakout room sessions next. But we do have a newsletter in our website. If you go to www.taith.wales, you can find the information there, or you can speak directly to us. There's a inquiries email there, inquiries@taith.wales. Feel free to contact us. Write to us in English, in Spanish, or Catalan. We'll translate the email and we will get back to you. We also have a Twitter account, and there's very nice pictures and news there @Taith Wales. Also, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. So there's a bit of everything. And I've seen some really nice pictures from a youth group playing rugby in New Zealand who were supported by Taith. And we have a representative from that organization, I'r Gobaith Cymru, with us today. So we'll be engaging in further discussion. So moltes gràcies, diolch yn fawr, thank you very much. That's a very brief overview, but if you have any questions, please send me an email to get in touch with us.
Thanks to you, Walter. Okay, so now that we close this first part of the session, we will run to this more dynamic moment, a moment where you will be the protagonist, and you will be able to see and to be seen, to see what's in there, what's in Wales, what's in Catalonia, what these organizations are doing, and also to be seen, to explain what you do to the rest of the audience so that these networking opportunities really happen. We frame this discussion under the concept of territories in transition, the title of this session, because we think that this is a concept that more or less brings all of us here together. We are third sector organizations, social economy organizations, entities or organizations that are working at a level of neighborhoods, rural communities, trying to provide opportunities for inclusion, intergenerational inclusion, training skills to those people that need it the most. So now we will run to these breakout rooms. We gave you one number to your names in Zoom. I don't know if you realized, and now my colleague Ana Martinez will bring us to the breakout rooms. So if you have the number 1, you will stay in this room. And if you have number 2, you will go to the other room where we will explain you more in detail how this session will run. And afterwards, we'll start with the discussion that will last for about 40 minutes. After that, we will come back here, share a little bit the conclusions, and close the session. Just keep in mind that if you found that you were interested in an organization that was not in your room, don't worry, because we will share the conclusions of both sessions to all of you, so you can connect really to anybody who you feel is best connected to your aspirations, your needs. And in any case, I think that this this meeting will be extremely valuable in any case, because the ideas that you share will be very, very meaningful for our work, for our willingness to promote cooperation between our nations and to define this social future together. So let's run into the breakout rooms. I don't know if Anna is ready for that. Not yet. One second. I don't know if Anna is around here. Anna?
Sí, Jaume, ho estic fent.
Vale, perfecto. Okay, so yeah, we will. When these things are digital, are a little bit more strange to manage, but we will get into there. We are really looking forward to meet all of you. Okay, so now we are assigning the people. See you in a bit.
Jaume, ja ho he assignat i ara tothom ha de rebre un missatge i hem d'acceptar d'entrar a la sala.
Molt bé. If you see a message popping up out to your screen to change of room, follow it. Si veieu un missatget que us diu de canviar-vos de sala, crec que l'anireu rebent. Aquí veig a la Carmen, a la Laura, que estarien a l'altra sala, l'Eulàlia també, bueno, ara ja anirà sortint. I la Geda també.
I have the number 2, but I've been assigned to room number 1. I don't know if...
Okay. Now we will change it.
Okay.
No, és correcte. La sala 1, en teoria, és la sala 2.
Okay,
és correcte, perquè els que posa al final del seu nom el número 1 es queden a la sala original.
Però la Geda crec que anava a la sala 2, eh? Bueno.
La Gena?
Sí, la Geda Requena Catesco. Sí, la pots posar a la sala 2.
Està. Geda, has d'acceptar. Encara que et digui sala 1, tu accepta.
Vale. Perfecte. Clar.
Perdoneu, la sala 1 és la sala 2?
Sí, perquè és l'altra sala.
Gràcies, perdó,
Perfecte. Okay. Now I feel like... Yeah, seems like this. Aquesta sala està bé perquè tenim interpretació. O sigui que si voleu parlar en català podreu fer-ho. In this room we will be a multilingual group actually. So we will have representatives from different organizations from Wales and Catalonia, and you will be able to listen to people speaking in Catalan and English. Okay, so we have around 40 minutes now to get to know each other. And to do that, we thought of dividing this moment into 2 parts. A first part where we will introduce ourselves. We will say our names, where do we come from, our organizations, what our organizations are doing, and what areas of expertise are you addressing through your work. Maybe it's labor insertion, maybe it's social action, maybe it's leisure education, youth services, maybe it's policy and research. Feel free to share this to the room because it will allow us to get to know each other better and our organizations. And after that, in the second part of when we finish this first intervention, we will share our ideas. Please don't feel stressed about it. It's just your general ideas about what would you be looking for in an international cooperation project, into an international mobility between Wales and Catalonia. Maybe it can be your feelings about, I would be curious to learn about this specific experience. I would be interested in sending people from Wales to learn about this issue. From Catalonia, the same, right? So your general ideas about international cooperation, maybe your capacities to do that. What could you offer? What would you find more valuable? So let's start, if you're okay with that. I see that we can start, maybe we can cross one organization from Catalonia and one from Wales. The first person here that I have is Marta Campo from Federació Catalana d'Autisme. Marta, in a couple of minutes, if you can introduce who you are and your organization in Catalan or English.
Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'll try to do it in English. Sorry, it's been a while since I last spoke in English. Actually, with the Taula, also in a trip we did. So I'll do my best in order to transmit you what we do in the Catalan Autism Federation. What we basically do is try to do political advocacy and to offer structural support to all the associations we represent. And by structural support, we mean to make the day-by-day easier. Like we develop projects that they are based in the needs of the associations we represent. We represent 35 associations of families and people with autism or within the autistic spectrum. So we have developed projects that has to do with education and bullying prevention, training and knowledge, personal assistance and care policies, accessibility, working inclusion, volunteering. So autism is in fact very transversal, and all the fields of our lives, or the autistic people's lives, need some support, need some guidance too. And we are working to ensure the inclusion, ensure the knowledge of our society, and that our society is diverse, and to acknowledge this reality. We work all across Catalonia. We are trying now to develop projects in some rural or not so urban territories where the access to services is more challenging, actually. And from a cooperational perspective, we have this huge and profound knowledge about autism, inclusion, accessibility, and we think that we can offer this, and also we can learn a lot from your experience as well in volunteering, in also inclusion, in the perspective regarding autism and other kind of conditions. So yeah, I don't want to extend myself because we don't have many time. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity, and we are super happy to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks, Marta. So you do advocacy and also awareness raising, trying to raise awareness about the diversity in society and the needs of autistic people and the families. That's an excellent work you do here. Okay, so now we run to Welsh representative. I see that you didn't put your name, but it's M. Chick. Yeah, if you can introduce yourself, because we don't know the organization also. So where do you come from?
Okay. Hi, everybody. Firstly, many thanks for speaking in English. As you know, British people are famously terrible at language learning, too lazy, so appreciated for those of you who are speaking through English or Welsh, so thank you. My name is Mike Chick. Sorry, I misunderstood the instruction. I put it in the chat rather than on screen. I work for the University of South Wales, and I'm a language teacher, educator, and a researcher into language education for refugees and for people seeking asylum in Wales. And I am particularly interested in sharing good practice in this area, and especially around teacher education for teachers who, to promote the idea of more participatory, more inclusive approaches to language education, as opposed to the formal, assessed, prescribed academic language courses that most people seeking asylum in Wales get access to. So I do a lot of research with third sector organizations, charity organizations, around providing a more more inclusive, more integration-based approach to language education. Enough. And also I have to leave at 4, I'm afraid, so I'll put this information in the chat as well.
Okay, so yeah, if you have to leave at 4, also maybe if you want just to take this opportunity, yeah, you already mentioned about some potential ideas for international collaboration and your interests, but would you do you have in mind any specific activity and specific project you would see that this collaboration with Catalan organization would fit in?
Well, my first thoughts were, it's very interesting that I don't know how language education is organized for refugees and people seeking asylum in Catalonia, but I imagine, I hope it takes place either in the formal sector or in the third sector through charities. And I imagine there's going to be a similar issue, or maybe not, but the issue in Wales is that the vast majority of language education is done through English, but there's a growing growing amount of language education in Welsh also. So 2 areas. One, how is language education delivered in Catalonia? And 2, is there an issue around having 2 languages, possibly requested or needed by the forced migrant community? So any project would be around basically shadowing one another, finding out what best practice, what good practice exists in both countries, and sharing that.
Excellent. I think great. Thanks. It's really interesting because it's an issue that's not only language, but also language for inclusion as a crucial topic that many, especially the labor inclusion organizations or that are providing this type of services, will feel that it's particularly relevant. Also for the context that we are a bilingual society. Point taken. Now we run to
Jamie, thank you.
Yeah, thanks to you. Now we run to FEICAT. FEICAT is the Federation of Labor Inclusion Companies of Catalonia. So it's a network of this type of organizations. And I see here Anna, who's representing FEICAT. I don't know if Esteve is around, but Anna, if you want to introduce the work of FEICAT, or your areas of expertise, those of your members first, and then in the second round, we can talk about your potential ideas for collaboration.
Hola, molt bona tarda. Primer, perdoneu perquè sé una mica d'anglès, però preferís fer la intervenció en català perquè així m'entendreu perfectament tot el que dic. Com ha dit Jaume, soc l'Anna Adrià de FEICAT. FEICAT és la Federació d'Empreses d'Inserció de Catalunya. Ara mateix representem a unes 52 empreses d'inserció, que són més del 90% de totes les que hi ha a tota Catalunya. Com diu el nom, treballem en inserció laboral. Treballem amb persones que tenen dificultats per accedir al mercat laboral, que estan en situacions d'exclusió o en risc d'exclusió social i es treballa concretament a Catalunya. La inserció laboral es treballa com un pont, o sigui, les empreses d'inserció estan pensades per a ser un pont per a que aquestes persones acaben treballant en empreses ordinàries. El que ens interessa, sobretot a nosaltres en aquestes col·laboracions, és conèixer com es treballa la inserció laboral a Gal·les i si els processos d'inserció són similars als de Catalunya o són diferents. Ens agradaria molt conèixer altres projectes del vostre país d'inserció laboral i també poder fer qualsevol tipus d'intercanvi per aprendre uns d'altres, perquè el nostre model és exitós, però segur que hi ha altres que també ho són i ens interessaria molt conèixer-los. Moltes gràcies.
Gràcies a tu, Anna. Una pregunta ràpida només. Genera interès el tema de les noves competències laborals? Potser un tema de la transició digital, de la transició verda? És una cosa que a la FEICAT estigueu veient, interessades per llançar?
Sí, estem interessades perquè, com a qualsevol altra empresa, és un tema que ens toca. Treballem en molts sectors diferents i molts d'ells estan preocupats per aquesta transició i sempre tindre referents d'altres països ens pot anar molt bé.
Perfecte. Okay, so yeah, we were mentioning this twin transition that we talk about in the European Union is talking about, but it's much more, it's going on everywhere in the world, this digital and ecological transition as both a challenge, but also as an opportunity in terms of labor inclusion. Now we have a representative from Unison. It's the trade union, United Kingdom Trade Union, the largest, one of the largest ones. Rich, a pleasure to have you here. If you want to introduce the organization and your areas of expertise as well. Thanks.
Diolch fawr iawn. Thank you very much. I'll speak in English. I don't. My Spanish is terrible, and I don't know any Catalan, so it's really interesting to meet everyone and to be part of this. Yeah. So I am part of the team that runs our union learning project across Wales. It's funded by the Welsh Government. It's called the Wales Union Learning Fund. And what we do is we organise courses and learning opportunities and learning events for workers in our target sectors across Wales, which are social care. So that's adult social care, home care or care homes for the elderly, etc. For NHS non-clinical workers, so that's workers in the health service who are maybe porters, cleaners, caterers, people who are healthcare support workers, kind of ancillary staff in health, and also for school support staff. So that's non-teaching staff in schools, again, cleaners, caterers, but also teaching assistants, learning support assistants who support children with special educational needs. And we try to work with employers as closely as we can. So where we have a unionised workplace, we'll work with those employers to try and address some of the skills needs, maybe the underlying literacy, numeracy, digital skills needs that may be preventing people from progressing in learning or in their careers. We've also got a remit to look a little bit wider at sector skills issues and try and identify sector skills issues and where maybe sectors are not attracting staff, and particularly obviously we have an interest in that because the more people working in those sectors and getting paid more is important for building and maintaining our trade union. A previous experience of working on Erasmus projects, Grundtvig lifelong learning projects across Wales with across Europe with organisations, and I think we had 12 countries involved in a partnership on digital skills a good few years ago. Now one of the things that are driving us is climate and the just transition, and what's interesting for us is the role that universal basic public services play in the just transition and how we possibly make those sectors more attractive to young people and to those transitioning from high carbon industries, and how we increase maybe the provision of skills that are relevant to those sectors, health care, health education, but particularly adult social care, where we have a recruitment and retention crisis. Really, it's a very low paid sector, but it's also extremely important for a new green low carbon economy. The idea we have, I guess, is that a lot of these workplaces, a lot of these jobs are already low carbon and green jobs, but they're just not recognized in the same way as a person building a wind turbine or installing a solar panel is recognized as being a green job. So we're looking for examples of kind of how the just transition is taking place in other countries, and to learn from one another and maybe get ways of increasing the worker voice and making the sectors more attractive, and maybe there is a project there, a partnership, a strategic partnership, pathway to partnership, where we could bring some workers together to share their experiences and look at how to make the sectors more attractive as low carbon green work.
That's really relevant, I feel, for all the topics discussed, and very specific as well. So really, thanks for this precious contribution, Rich. I would like to invite now Marta Cid from ECAS, the ECAS, who I feel that is also connected to this recent discussion. Yeah, Marta, quan vulguis.
Sí, bona tarda, i utilitzaré el català per tal de ser més pràctics i a cursar la intervenció que pugui fer. Jo represento una federació, la Federació ECAS. ECAS representa entitats catalanes de l'acció social i, per tant, aglutina més de 100 entitats. D'aquestes entitats n'hi ha de més petites, n'hi ha de mitjanes, algunes les menys són més grans, no? I dins d'aquestes entitats, bàsicament el que es fa és acció social bastant variat, és a dir, també hi ha entitats que treballen el sensellerisme, les addiccions, la inserció laboral. Jo us convido a que pugueu entrar a la pàgina web d'ECAS, tal com està escrit aquí al costat del meu nom, i també estem especialment contents d'una publicació que fem cada any que el que fa és posar de relleu alguna de les situacions complexes que socialment pugui estar enfrontant el país. La nostra voluntat és representar aquestes entitats des de també el que té a veure amb la incidència, i amb el sentit de la incidència em refereixo fent informes, tenim presència a legislacions que s'estan construint al país i també defensant, diguéssim, els col·lectius de risc que són pels quals treballem i pels quals tenen missió les nostres entitats. Dit això, dins d'ECAS hi ha uns 17 espais de treball, perquè veieu que segurament podem donar cobertura a molts de sectors. D'aquests 17 espais de treball n'hi ha un concretament, que és la vocalia d'Internacional, que és la que jo tinc, diguéssim, amb un grupet de gent que intentem estirar, i tenim aquesta vocació d'Internacional perquè sempre ens ha agradat mirar-nos el que passa a fora i poder aprendre del que passa a fora, i també aportar la nostra visió. Què vol dir això? Vol dir que a nivell de projectes internacionals, ECAS com a federació no en té cap, fem incidència, estem en una xarxa europea que es diu ESAN, i per tant tenim concretament la vicepresidència des d'ECAS, i per tant treballem també la incidència a nivell europeu en altres països, però són les entitats d'ECAS les que acaben desenvolupant dins de la seva acció també la seva vocació, diguéssim, de projectes europeus. En aquest sentit, tenim entitats que fan programes de mobilitat per a joves, concretament, i també dins d'aquestes entitats, per exemple, jo porto una entitat, per posar per exemple, que es diu Gentis, que és una fundació que executem, de fet hem coordinat aquest any passat 2 Erasmus. El nostre perfil és treballar la inclusió dels col·lectius en risc i ens hem dedicat a treballar a nivell europeu tot un projecte d'inclusió dels joves a través de la mentoria esportiva. Tot i que nosaltres dediquem la major part de la nostra acció a Gentis amb el que serien els programes de capacitació, competències, incorporació al món laboral o per a joves i altres col·lectius que estan en risc d'exclusió. Però a l'àmbit comunitari hem treballat això, per exemple, i podria posar més exemples. En això el que vull dir-vos és que a ECAS podeu trobar segurament partners interessats en els vostres àmbits i que jo, evidentment, traslladaré la reunió d'avui i ens posarem a la vostra disposició, com ho ha explicat abans el vostre projecte. D'acord? Podríem estar interessats en projectes, sí. Quins? Doncs, com us dic, ja hauríem de treballar amb el nivell propi de les entitats. D'acord? Gràcies.
Gràcies a tu, Marta. So you see that Catalonia has really a mindset of working as a network. Our organizations are really networked, and this has an enormous potential to mobilize actions on the ground, grounded social responses and initiatives, with the capacity to influence policy debates, to create knowledge, as Marta was mentioning, this publication that I feel maybe to partners like maybe also the Learning and Work Institute, the next person, Calvin, I feel that if I understand right your organization, I feel that this might connect also to your work or to the colleague from the University of South Wales. Calvin, if you want to introduce yourself. and your organization.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Calvin Lees from Learning and Work Institute in Wales. Yeah, I'm sort of here with two heads on because we're a sector organising body for Taith, where we're involved in promoting adult education, promoting the Taith to third sector organisations, and obviously then facilitating and supporting those organisations with applying. So that's sort of one head that I've got. So it's really great to see everybody involved in this and coming together. But on the other hand, as an organisation, Learning and Work Institute, we're a research and development third sector organisation, but we work very closely with Welsh Government, reviewing education policy, employment policy. We evaluate a lot of the programmes that are happening, so the apprenticeships, the traineeships, our employability programmes, Work in Wales. And on the back of that, we also sort of are almost an adult education umbrella organisation. So we facilitate 15 adult learning partnerships across Wales. That's made up of local authorities, universities, colleges, third sector organisations, charitable organisations. And obviously we meet annually with them and bring a big conference together where we all get together and we all meet. So there's a lot of developments there on projects and partnership linking. We also run for Welsh Government the Adult Learners Week, which is an annual celebration of learning, which takes place over a week, and we sort of facilitate organisations to put on specific events or specific programmes during that week. And obviously we also facilitate the Inspire Learner Awards and Inspire Tutor Awards. So that again is an annual sort of celebration of success. And obviously all of that means that a lot of the sort of discussions around projects that have happened today is we probably know an organisation that would fit really well with it, or if we don't, we can certainly speak to them. On a personal level, in regards to our wish list for projects, we're currently sort of looking, and we have been involved in Erasmus projects in the past around sort of learner advocacy or learner ambassadors. So looking at what other countries are doing around how their learners can sort of promote and sell adult learning to their peers. So we've currently got a Pathway 2 project in at the moment, which is about developing an actual training course to train learners to be advocates. So we're looking at linking with Ireland and an organisation called Aontas, who have a sort of learner ambassador program currently running at the moment. So we're interested in speaking to them about that. So we would also be interested in widening that outside, definitely. Thank you.
Thanks to you. It's really interesting because everybody, all these organizations are connecting practice with advocacy, with what we do on the ground, with what we advocate for, and these meaningful partnerships that we built in both Catalonia and Wales. It's fascinating to see that there's these similarities between us, really, and much to learn from each other. Now we open another layer also of this social perspective with a focus on the youth and the education of the youth, also talking about this again from a more specific perspective. Jesus Delgado is from Territoris Foundation, also the Vice President of Taula del Tercer Sector in charge of international relations. So a very important person also for us. Jesus, if you want to introduce Territoris and your activities.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity. I try to speak in English, but anyway, if it's impossible for you to understand me, please tell me. Territoris Foundation began their activities out in the 60s of the last century when Barcelona was the second city in the world in the ranking of density after Calcutta. Calcutta was the first then in density, and the second was Barcelona. Children then were crowded, and Territoris Foundation started with work with children and young people in vulnerable situations, trying to carry them from the city center when everything was gray and dirty. I'm sorry, I was there. And taking them to the mountains near the Pyrenees. Now we have the Pyrenees more than 100 kilometers, and now are funny, and then were more funny than today. And with this conjunction of activities, began to taking care of leisure times. Then we are trying to take care of the children out of the schools, making a network of social education centers. Now we have 200 leisure centers all over Catalonia and also in Balearic Island, in Mallorca. About 2,000 children every weekend make their leisure times together. Sometimes in Barcelona, better than 60, I think the 60. So Barcelona has made a big transformation. And also in summertime, when we try to make some camps in the mountains. Now we work also with children from 0 to 3 years old in 36 kindergarten all over the country in Catalonia, and trying and taking care of 14,000 children also in the school canteens in the leisure time between morning and afternoon in the schools in an extracurricular activities. This is more or less what we are working when we began. This is the basis of the Territoris Foundation. Now the time has passed, and we have tried to make in contact, of course, with administration. We work for social innovation, educational innovation, keeping in contact with our administration, local and regional, trying to develop some special programs or usual programs about digital actions now, new technology or robotic, but always in the quarters, in the places where the vulnerable places children are needed. Then also we work with holiday homes and hostel networks, not only in the Pyrenees but also in Mallorca. When it's you see, it's interesting in Mallorca because a lot of tourism, yes, but it's hard and it's expensive for children, and we tried with a different hostel network to make some camps also in the Pyrenees, in the beach, and trying to keep care of these children. Also, we work with the teachers or with monitors, trying with short courses, maybe 20 hours, and also along available courses that now, since 20 years, has contact with the university, and we now have 2 degrees of social education and social work, and it's a professional activity for people who wants to work together with not only with each other. And now, from 4 years ago, we have a doctoral program, and some doctors has begun to increase in social education. It's a new activity and a new challenge for us, and is the available of our activities. And it's a special activity for us to be in contact with communities all around, not only Barcelona, Girona, because social insertion and employment insertion is one of our main activities as a Territoris Foundation. Maybe we are the social impact of our activities, and I put you our web address in a few minutes. You're going to be more clear than me, I suppose. More than 300,000 people are beneficiary of our activities, all Catalonia and Balearic Island, and in the north of País Valencià, in south of Catalonia. And that's more or less what we are seeing in the last 16 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. I was thinking that this year the United Nations recognized the healthy environment as a human right, but it feels that this type of activities were already fulfilling this right for children 60 years ago. So good to be among pioneers. Carrie Morgan, who's from Boys and Girls Clubs of Wales, I feel that maybe this previous intervention connects to this type of engagement activities with the youth that you do. Feel free to connect to introduce your organization as well.
Yeah, so just checking you can hear me.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm Carrie Morgan. I work for Boys and Girls Clubs of Wales. We're one of the sector organising bodies for youth. So similar to Calvin, I have like two perspectives on this. For us, Boys and Girls Clubs of Wales, we come from the original sort of youth movement, I suppose. Initially, our organisation started nearly 100 years ago, bringing boys from the collier, and so the mining communities, trying to make sure that they were looked after and had somewhere to be. And when they weren't working, following obviously child labour laws and the like, it was then the sons of the men who were working down the mines. And that has continued now. So because of deindustrialisation, the historical mining communities are some of the most deprived in Wales. And so we have a lot of young people who across our network who wouldn't access things like international exchange without us. One of our offers is that we are like the umbrella organisation to many different affiliated clubs across particularly South Wales, but it is across the whole of Wales. And it basically means that we then facilitate different projects between them to make sure that young people have the most access that they can possibly have. So we have a lot of history in doing international exchange. I deliver many projects over the course of the year. We've done a lot of Erasmus, which I won't bore you with the details of, but I will put our website in the chat if people would like to have a look. But for me, I think it's really interesting to hear that there are other organisations that sort of are mirroring that. They did start a long time ago. They are working with young people. They are making sure that they are engaging in opportunities that otherwise they would be left out of. But it's also really important as well that I think we can mirror along with the heritage and the language preservation that is something that seems to be really strong within Taith. Obviously, I've worked with Taith since the beginning of its sort of from an idea form. And I think that that heritage and that sort of pride that we want to instill in young people, and what does it mean to be Welsh? What does it mean to be British? What does it mean to be European, particularly as the politics of the UK change? So it's really interesting to hear, really lovely for me to have seen all of the people speak today. So thank you. And I'm also making notes so that if any other organisations in Wales are in contact with me, I'm able to refer them as well as for my own projects. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie, and thanks for capturing so well the vision of this moment and this bridge that we create between places, between generations. Where do we come from? Where are we headed towards? So pleasure to get to know your story. Let's close now this first round, and I think that we will not have that much time to have a second round, but more like an open, short discussion with Charles Willie. I did not forget you, from Diverse Cymru. So I think that this is the best way to finish that discussion with the vision of diversity, which is permeating everything and all the activities that we are doing from the start to the beginning. Charles, if you want to introduce the story of your organization and ideas for cooperation as well.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Good, good. Okay, first of all, many thanks for the invite. And as you say, one of the things obviously that struck me most is, particularly from starting with Susanna, the issues around diversity and inclusion. And in essence, what Diverse Cymru is, and which still is the only pan-equality organisation in Wales, which has a vision to help Wales create a nation without prejudice or discrimination, where every person is equal and our diversity is celebrated. And I'd stop at that because the vision goes further than that. But the key thing in terms of this view around diversity and inclusion is about being positive about this issue of difference. And being a pan-equality organisation, although the focus that we have with regard to our relationship with Taith is around the issues of minority and minority ethnic communities in Wales specifically. It also covers all the other what people would class as protected characteristics, disability, gender, LGBTQ plus, and so forth. So the nature of our work and what I've been very interested in, and to me, one of the things of real interest is that there's organisations in Wales that wasn't aware of in terms of work that we do with regard to, for example, asylum seekers and refugees. And so I've noted Mike Chick's name to sort of make contact with. So even within that, it's not only perhaps working across into Catalonia as well, but also having some discussions there with organisations in Wales as well. So for me, and in terms of what we're seeking to actually do, we have in fact a unique scheme that we've established with regard to this issue of cultural difference and cultural diversity, which seeks to provide certification for organisations in the way in which they are progressing the significant inequalities and disparities that exist in all sectors of public life, including here in Wales, for minority ethnic communities. And that certification scheme that we have in place, I'm pleased to say, is supported and funded by Welsh Government, but also in terms of its own validity, one of the things that it actually sort of seeks to provide. And one of the things we're very concerned about in education, by way of example, the disparities that exist for minority ethnic communities and how we may seek to address that. And one of the key aims that we would have with regard to working in this area would be the issues around what I would call loosely community learners. Because often, and there is a lot of precedent to this, as far as minority communities not having the same opportunities and chances. And what we're seeking to do is to create a group of community learners, learn from what is happening elsewhere, and to essentially invite people to Wales and for us to go to other places to try to sort of develop a sense of community and to help in terms of this issue of difference and diversity. That's just a very short sort of synopsis of what we actually do. And but there's again on our website a very clear view of that in terms of the importance that we place with regard to this issue of diversity and inclusion.
Thank you, Charles. Also, powerful ideas to drive this transition from where we are coming from to the places where we are now and where are we headed. Thanks, Charles. And now everybody got to listen to you also, because we are running out of time. But I feel that we captured so well all that you are doing, at least, and that will be enough to connect with all the experiences that have been said. Don't worry, because we will share all of your stories in the same document with the opportunity to get to know each other, to contact with each other. Now, I feel that from group 2 and group 1, some of us will be doing a short report of what was said, maybe in a minute or two, to share those key ideas that were shared, areas of interest, and then we will close the session. So from group 2, we can start with the group 2, which was group 1. Walter or Laia, who's going to be the rapporteur at the report?
Well, I kind of volunteered to give it a go, but Laia made a much better summary when we've closed our session. So Laia, please help me if I miss some important bits, because we had a very good, rich discussion where you could see the potential for partnerships emerging as people spoke and introduced their organizations and the work they do. So there were some key strands or themes coming up. Indigenous and minoritized languages were mentioned, and I think there's room for collaboration there. Diversity, inclusion, and equality, and more than anything, a specific interest in practice on the ground, hands-on practice instead of just policy. So that's a really interesting one. International volunteering, not only at the school level, but also at the informal education, non-formal, and youth as well. Then transformation of educational systems and looking specifically at the sustainable development goals, but going beyond that as well. The area of sport and youth featured prominently as well, and mental health issues specifically associated with minority groups as well, or people who are not as well represented in social context. Research and evaluation was another one. Of social work and volunteering and international work, job placements for minority groups as well, mobility of staff as well as young people. And Laia, is there anything that I'm missing from that list, if you remember?
So just like a lot of energies to connect with each other, and so it's very good, the input that we received. Thank you, Walter.
Excellent, great reports. Ellie, maybe Ellie can do the report. I don't. Yeah, do you want?
Yeah, yes. yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sorry, we ran over a little bit, so I've just been desperately scribbling some notes to try to pull things together. So as Jeremy said, we'll be able to share later more kind of detailed information. But I suppose similarly to the other group, we talked. We talked a lot about inclusion and accessibility. That was quite a common theme of organisations supporting those with additional barriers to access education, to access learning, training, and the workplace. So I think there was quite a lot of common areas in that sense. A lot of kind of interesting focus on diversity and how that can be supported and encouraged and engaged with and supporting organisations in those kind of areas. Another aspect that came out was learner voice and learner engagement. So how we can get learners involved in the development. So it's kind of a bottom-up approach as opposed to top-down, and that came out from quite a few different organisations. And then also culture and identity. So those aspects came up as well, and also the Welsh language, the Catalan language, how we can work with, if you've got a country where there's 2 languages, maybe, how you can diversify and make sure that you're supporting learners in both those languages. And I think there's quite a lot of commonality across Catalonia and Wales in those aspects as well. Jaume, I don't know if you've got anything else that you picked up on that I haven't covered.
It's the exercise in itself has already been so valuable, because we got to learn from our perspective what the third sector of Wales looks like, its potential to connect practice and grounded responses to the social needs with these global challenges and our responses to these challenges as well. So I think that we will do a beautiful report of this session, and we hope that in the follow-up that we will have, that you get something meaningful from this through the connections that you already created. Now we will run to the last part of this session. Jesus, who's if you want to have a word, informal word because it's from Taula.
Yes, very informal. Now is my time to say goodbye. It has been a pleasure for me to be connected today, and also for me, Susanna, has been as a dream to do this first meeting. It has been a meeting full of ideas, contacts, projects, youth, languages, teachers, mental health, sport, practice, volunteers, social innovation, labor insertion, diversity, refugees, and lots of mail addresses. Thanks you for being in contact, for your collaboration. Thanks to the teams for making it possible. Technology is nearly magic for me and has been perfect. And finally, some special words of hope. As you know, we are living hard moments of crisis. Sometimes we forget it. Not only poverty, inflation, health in the last time, war in Europe, near of our societies, living moments of big challenges. But this meeting, since the beginning, with Andrew and Frances working together, working as a community, as we did today, is a beautiful sign of hope, of thinking as a better world. Let's keep in contact, building links, and building together our own agendas. Thank you for being here, for being actor of community collaboration. I try to speak now in Wales, I'm sorry. Nio ac fod un actorion sitveidio dol, i ara ho diré en català, que seré molt més a gust. Gràcies per ser-hi i per ser actors de la col·laboració comunitària. Una abraçada, a pleasure to be with you.
Molt bé. Okay, so see you soon in Wales or in Catalonia, no?
Let's keep in contact.
Thank you.
Thank you so
much. Moltes gràcies. Fins aviat.
Gràcies, thank you.
Adéu.
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 Una abraçada, Susana.
Sí, Jesús. Estic molt contenta de veure't. Fins aviat. Ja parlarem.
Molt bé. Tot un somni fet.
Sí, des que vam dinar junts, eh?
Adéu.
Thank you.
Well, so yeah, we stay in touch now for these next days. We have the Christmas break.
Yes.
So let's respect this. But it's true that we should, oh my God, the rhythm is always so drastic.